Let me start by saying, this is not an ordinary scalping video. This is for those who trade with chart pattern. I would be reviewing an indicator that's so amazing in identifying double top or double bottom pattern. So you can stop watching at this point if you do not trade chart patterns or you do not understand it. So without further ado, let's jump right into it.
Okay guys, so for today's video we will be looking at the Euro United States dollar, and we are on the 5 minutes time frame. As this strategy works on the 5 minutes time frame, so as I said earlier, this strategy consists of just one indicator, and for this strategy, we will only be taking double top or bottom pattern trades, as the indicator will draw such patterns, and we would be looking to enter trade when we see them. Now please note that this is a separate indicators, as it does not draw the patterns on the chart but on its own separate pane. So let's go ahead and add the indicator for the strategy. Bring up the indicator panel and search for the indicator wave trend oscillator by Lazy Bear. Now this is what we will be using on the chart, so let's go over and make some adjustments to this indicator for better understanding, as I will be going through why I found this indicator interesting at identifying such patterns, as well as telling you what you should look out for when identifying patterns. So please leave a like on the video and subscribe, it's absolutely free, as it helps the channel. Okay, so as we move on, let us start with adjusting the settings before we go over to how we identify trends. But before we do, I would like to let you know that this indicator gives a very few signals, so don't expect to get a lot of them when using it on one pair. Although you could make 15 good high trades within a month, but it requires total patience for those patterns to form. As we move on, double-click on the indicator and bring up its settings. Over the input, change the channel length to 5 and average length to 14. Then forget about the rest because we won't be using any of them. Now see why this indicator looks amazing. It calculates the length of price action, taking into account the average length of the price, not just only by calculating its moving average, but also combining both the length and its average for better results. Now move over to style and untick all this plot except the third to the last plot. Also increase the opacity for better visualization. Then go ahead and click on the OK button when you are done. We would have our indicator looking like this. So let's go over to how we take trades. Now we hunting for either double top or double bottom patterns. So for those who do not know what double top or double bottom pattern means, but would like to indulge in the market using this strategy, I will briefly explain what a double top and double pattern means. You can easily learn about these patterns online, as you would see a lot of contents explaining them. Okay. So a double top and double bottoms are important technical analysis patterns used by traders. A double top has an M shape and indicates a bearish reversal in trend, while a double bottom has W shape and is a signal for a bullish price movement. So whenever we see a W shape on the indicator, we would be buying, and whenever we see an M shape on the indicator, we would be selling. Now let me go over how and the best way to identify such M and W patterns. Also note that, since these are reversal trades, I will be using 2:1 risk to reward ratio by risking 1 to get back double of what we put in the market. Most times, I aim as high as 3, as reversals could turn to new trends, and that's where the profit lies. So for the purpose of this video, I would be using the former. Okay, so I would go back in time, just to make this video a short one. We are on the 5 minutes time frame, and this video is being made on the 8th day of September. I will backdate to the 1st day of September, so we could see how many double top or double bottom patterns we could identify on the indicator. Okay, this is the 1st day of the month. Now, please note that, for a double top or double bottom to be valid, we need to identify two distinct peaks of similar width and height. And also, distance between peaks shouldn't be too wide, as we identify them on the indicator, and not on price action. Now, before we move further, let us identify our patterns on the indicator panel, before we go through them on the chart. Now, we would be expanding this indicator pane for better reading, so double-click on it. So this is the 1st day of September. Let's now move on and identify our patterns, as we would be using vertical line to identify the entry areas. The red is for sell entry and the green is for buy entry. We could see visible pattern here because it has a W shape, but we won't be taking this as the first bottom is far from the second, so we would be skipping this. Moving on. So we notice another pattern here as we see an M drawing. We could see that the point of the two peaks are of almost the same level, and from the start of the M is smooth. We would be placing our signal entry here, as this is the point in which reversal from two peak meets the neckline. So we would be marking this point as our first trade. Let's move on. So again here, we see we have a W shape formed, and both bottom are not far from each other, so we would be entering trade when the second bottom catches up with the neckline, and that is this point. So here again, we see the M shape formed on the chart, but we won't be taking the trade because both top are a bit far from each other. Here again, we see an M shape on the chart. As you already know how we identify them, the first peak line should be smooth, then the second peak line should trade towards the neckline, as we would open trade at the trigger candlestick. So let's now quickly identify them on the chart, as I would make the video a little bit faster in order to save time. Let's move on. So we are at the end of the chart, and I hope we covered all, as I want you to be able to cover all patterns, as we wouldn't know which could be in our favor. Now let's go over our results and see how much we would have made using this strategy. Now this is first day of September. We could easily identify our entries by the vertical line we placed on them, so we can see this should have been our first trade, as it's a sell signal. Let's go ahead and place entries. Please remember, stop loss at recent swing high or low while take profit is 2 times the risk. So we see we lost our first trade. And this is our second trade. Let's place our trade on this. As we can see, this is a buy trade as well. We see we lost our second trade too. Here is our third trade. And this is a signal to sell. We see we won the trade, and this tends to be our first win. Here is another buy trade, which turned out to be a good win. Okay, here is another one also. We see we had a nice win here too, and this is our third win. Now this could have been a loss, as the sell trade did not hit our take profit level. This is too small for a 2 times risk reward. So we move on. Here is another sell trade we got. We lost the trade, so we have total of 3 wins and 4 losses. Let's move on. Here is another sell trade. And we can see it won. And here is another trade entry to sell. We see it won. That's leaving us at 5 wins and 4 losses. So we could see that this is the end of the chart. So we could see we made $60 within 8 days of using this strategy. And like I said, it has high win rate, but you wouldn't be taking much trade. But you can actually combine it with other scalping strategy on this channel that goes with your trading style. We could see how good winning trade traded up to even 3 times the risk. So guys, my best advice is to avoid this strategy if you are impatient. And also for beginners, try and avoid using this strategy till you are well experienced. And in general, if you can't identify a good double top and bottom pattern, then avoid the trade as well. And that's it, traders. Please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it helps the channel growth. Thanks, and see you in the next one.